it comes to what options the government has to try to bring down unemployment, nothing is a perfect solution, but spending money to rebuild American infrastructure is an unoutsourceable, uncontroversial thing. Even Republicans are in favor of infrastructure spending. Remember, back during the stimulus debate, they claimed to have wanted more of it.
We do need more money on infrastructure spending. We need more on the infrastructure. We need more on the infrastructure.
There's 7% of this on infrastructure out of $825 billion. We have an opportunity to double the amount of infrastructure money.
We had an $825 billion bill, about $90 billion was for infrastructure. This was not a stimulus bill, just a tiny portion of it was.
We can disagree on other things, but Democrats and Republicans can get together and say, if there's one thing we agree on with the spending package, it is for simple infrastructure.
If there's one thing we can agree on, it's for infrastructure. Amen to that, right? Everybody agrees. So naturally, after President Obama came out and proposed some infrastructure spending yesterday, the Republican leadership came out and now they're totally against it. Yeah, according to House Minority Leader John Boehner, quote, the White House has chosen to double down on more of the same, quote, stimulus spending. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell slammed the proposal as, quote, a last-minute cobbled-together stimulus bill that will not reverse the complete lack of confidence Americans have in Washington Democrats' ability to help this economy. So much for infrastructure spending being the one thing we agree on. They all agreed on it until President Obama proposed some of it, and then they said they were against it. How can you say you are emphatically for spending on infrastructure and then decide you are emphatically against it once it has actually been proposed? What's next? What's next? Republicans coming out against tax cuts? Yes. Tomorrow, President Obama is set to announce $300 billion worth of corporate tax cuts of the exact variety that Republicans are on record being in favor of. The biggest piece of this proposal is a $200 billion tax cut for companies to write off any investment in new plants and equipment. If you own a business, you can just deduct anything you spend on stuff like that from your taxes. Now, this is not exactly an original idea. This has been done before, and it has been done by Republicans. In 2002, the Republican-controlled Congress then passed legislation to allow companies to write off 30% of their investments in equipment. In 2003, Republicans raised that to 50% of equipment purchases. Right now, 4 Senate Republicans, led by Chuck Grassley, are co-sponsoring legislation to renew that, to allow companies to write off 50% of their equipment purchases. President Obama is about to propose tomorrow, upping that to 100%, more than Republicans ever dreamed of. And the response from Republican leadership? Quote, President Obama's latest plan should be met with justifiable skepticism. Why? These are your ideas. That's one thing. If you're not sort of down with the business tax cuts and down with the business tax cuts specifically on investing in equipment, but when that's been your idea, why justifiable skepticism? It's your idea. There are 2 possible things going on here. One is that President Obama somehow thinks that Republicans are going to be uncraven enough this year to actually vote for things they say they're for, like tax cuts for businesses. If you listen to President Obama these days, though, he does not sound like he's being that naive about that.
Even on things we usually agree on, they say no. If I said the sky was blue, they say no.
The problem Republicans have with this is not ideological. It's fundamentally electoral.
House Minority Leader John Boehner responded to these proposals by saying this. He said, they don't address the 2 big problems that are hurting our economy, excessive government spending and the uncertainty that Washington Democrats' policies are creating for small businesses. I hear you that it is an electoral argument that they're making against these policies and not an ideological one, but I honestly don't understand the case that he's making. What is this uncertainty argument?
I've really tried to track this one down. I've been like Mario looking for the princess on it. And you get whenever you talk to any business guy about uncertainty, here's what they end up telling you. What I would like is if the government were more certain to do the exact policies I would like them to do. So I spoke to some folks from GE. They said what they needed to invest in nuclear energy was an energy bill, like the one the Democrats wanted to do and the Republicans blocked. Others would like tax cuts cut for them. Certainly, the business community would love to have the R&D tax credit expanded and made permanent. That has been one of their major sources of uncertainty. We tend to let it expire every year or two, so now it's going. And then, of course, there is the question of government spending, which Boehner also brought up. If you are a grocery store near a school and teachers shop there, the uncertainty you're worried about is that the state will fire the teachers and they won't shop there. And you go on and on and on down the line like that. The biggest uncertainty businesses are facing, bar none, is that they will not have customers. So things that the government does, which allow them either to have the money to do the things they need to do or the customers to pay them the money to help them do the things they need to do to hire and to expand, that reduces their uncertainty. Again, what Republicans are worried about is less certainty about winning the election, and that comes if they say, you know what, President Obama has heard the message of the voters, or our message, reached it out across the aisle and has some pretty good ideas here. That isn't a winning message for the opposition party going into an election.